Welcome back to the Cinema Condition. This is your host and filmmaker, Raul Alejandro Mendoza, or as I don't allow you guys. I prefer that you guys refer to me as the Nerdy Chicano. It's fine, though. If I allow you all to that's so stupid, but it's all right. Today we're here for another episode. Last week you all heard a wonderful conversation with my wonderful friend Alejandra Escutiangulo as we discussed 2009's Inglourious Bastards from Quentin Tarantino, and today I have my wonderful friend AK here to talk about 2015's Tangerine.
Hey.
AK, how are you doing, bud?
I'm good. I just survived a home emergency in which I had to put together my bathroom. It just exploded on me. There was water everywhere. I spent 3 hours. I was up till 3 o'clock in the morning, and then I was I slept for like 4, and then went to class. So I'm hyped. I'm like on no sleep. So I'm good to go.
This has been a long time in the making, my friend. Yep.
I've been excited to be on your podcast. I've listened to a lot of your episodes. I love the way you do this. I love that you dig so deep into a lot of topics. And I know that you ask people to come in prepared. And I hope I'm ready. I hope.
You're in the hot seat today, AK.
I know. I'm
You're
going to get
in the
it.
hot seat.
I'm going to get it.
Yeah, Gio's over here, and hopefully one day he gets to come on, too.
The fact checker.
King
fact checker.
Yeah.
The film club's calendar as well.
Yeah. AK is the president of the film club, El Presidente. Yes.
One of the officers, I guess.
One of the officers, yes.
Yeah.
Presidente AK. He is the part of the film club here. Wait, are you actually not the president? Who's the president?
We don't have a president anymore. Technically, according to the university, according to Gio, actually, who just submitted my papers recently, I am the primary officer of the club. But really, we like to operate as like a collective body that kind of decides things. Call it a council member. Maybe would be
one of the higher minds of the. I guess if you would call it the
elite hive mind.
I guess he's just part of the collective group that makes the film club at the University of Houston. And there we go, giving up my information again, where I'm living and stuff. But it's all right. You know, Abbas, why do I keep thinking about Abbas down there, man?
I know. Abbas is your best friend. He's such a good guy.
He's not a best friend. He's my dad.
Oh, that's so cute.
He left me in Pakistan for a bit, and then he decided when he was here that he could bring me back to the United States, Abbas. That's our story. Apparently, I was also made by artificial insemination, but I have no idea what's going on here. But yeah,
I love everything about this story.
Yeah, apparently I'm also Pakistani, but I'm not Pakistani. I mean, as you can tell.
Honorary member of the Mina and Pakistan and India. That's what we consider you, Raul. We love you.
Thanks. But yeah, AK's part of the film club, and he's also a friend of mine that I made last year as I tried to meddle into the film club. But it's hard being a very, very, very busy person, especially just doing this shit all the time.
Yeah,
it's very difficult. But I decided to finally bring the man in and have him on the hot seat because it's about time. As always, my friends, I'm really glad you guys are able to join us, and I hope you guys have been enjoying the last conversations. And today we're gonna get into it. We're gonna talk about Tangerine.
Yeah,
but we gotta go ahead and introduce the director himself, Sean Baker. We gotta talk about Mr. Sean Baker.
What a generic white man's name.
I know. Two first. Oh no, it's not two first names. Baker is the last name, but yeah. He was born in February 26, 1971, in Summit, New Jersey. So he's relatively young.
Yeah. Also, very much near the Safdies.
Oh yeah, very near that Safdies. What's it called? Age. He went to school. He received his BA in film studies from New York University through the Tisch School of the Arts, of course. Everybody goes to NYU. And his first feature film was Four Letter Words, but he is mostly known for his 3 big films he's made: Starlet, Tangerine, and The Florida Project. And he is also, co-wrote, co-produced, co-directed, co-edited, and co-produced with Shi Ching So. He made Takeout with her, with Xing Ching So. And the film revolves around an illegal Chinese immigrant falling behind on payments on a smuggling debt. Yeah. Acclaimed filmmaker, but a lot of his fame comes from this film, Tangerine.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure everyone who who came into Tangerine had not, or most of the people that went to the theaters to watch Tangerine for the first time, and it was released in limited theaters and stuff like that. That was their first introduction to Sean Baker, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people I've heard coming out of the New York scene, like I've heard of Sean, I heard of the Duplass brothers, I've heard of the Safdie brothers, I'd heard of this DIY movement that was going on in it.
The old school guerrilla filmmaking style where they would just grab the cameras, go out into the street and just film. And
pretty much.
It's what I like. It's that style of filmmaking that I respect a lot, because it was just people who really wanted to make a movie and they said, fuck the studio, I'm going to make my movie.
I mean, the Duplass has practically created an enterprise out of this. They record everything digitally and internally, and then they basically push it all out into like Netflix, Hulu, all of those places. It's actually an incredible model. I mean, and you look at the Safdie's model of like going after the indie industry basically, and like immediately striking these deals with Criterion to get like Bicycle Thieves on there and stuff like that. And so it's like, a lot of these guys are very intelligent, and they come from an extremely passionate community that's inside of that New Jersey, New York area. And I think Sean is like the quietest of that crew, but he is, that's something you mentioned about reading his prior to Starlit, right?
Starlit, yeah.
Prior to Starlit, he made a film about a Chinese immigrant. He's in Tangerine. He made a film about trans people. In the Florida Project, he was talking about race relations. I mean, Sean Baker is genuinely one of the best examples we have right now of a white director, or a director who doesn't come from a particular like minority race, who tells minority stories really well. In a time when we're having movies like Waves and Watchmen and stuff like that, stuff that is coming across as a little bit more problematic because of who the showrunners or the creators of those processes are. So Sean is really good at that.
It's also, and it's interesting because you bring up, the Safdies as well. Like Safdies, it's like, what's it called? I remember watching Good Time, and Good Time, it's like, they use the mass of black people, and I'm like, I think that there's something at play here with race relations as well. So it's easy. It's really interesting, that prominent area of New York and New Jersey that's bringing up this new wave of filmmakers, and Sean's one of them. And I gotta say, once we get to talk about this movie, man, I gotta say, this movie, it feels. If I didn't know it was Sean Baker, I could have sworn this was made by a black trans woman.
Yeah, me too. Like,
because this felt so authentic, down to the T, dude.
I mean, the language, the little dialogue pieces. I think the biggest thing that people take away from that movie is that it was shot on an iPhone, and I assume we're gonna get that. In a minute.
We're getting there.
But the feeling of that movie, like the way they move through, like that movie, as much as Uncut Gems is New York to the core, this movie is hot Los Angeles. Like it is grimy, it is dirty, it is South, it is West Coast as hell.
Only thing I gotta bring up, man, I gotta bring this up because it's the biggest meme ever, dude. That color palette was exactly the Mexico in the 90s movie palette. Jesus Christ. I was like, who the fuck colored this? Michael Bay? Because
I'm glad I know that we can cuss.
Of course. Go ahead and cuss all you want, man. It's
I love that.
I like having, look, with passion comes a lot of words coming out. And I'm sorry if you're here and you don't like the cursing that much. We're passionate individuals, and with passion it comes times when words will slip out like that. Also, we're talking very mature films. I don't expect children to be listening to these shows.
I mean, if we're gonna get into detail about a lot of the things that happen in Tangerine, Tangerine is like, it gets into some heavy shit. But that's like there are these small conversations that happen in surrounding the scenery of the movie that just like, that catch you off guard. You're like, I know that, like by proxy, and I understand that, like, I'm a queer person, but I am not a trans person. I understand that full-heartedly, but like that is a lot of that community that I interact with in the LGBT community. It is a lot of that sass, a lot of that
Yeah.
little jabs, but still trying to find humor in even some of the worst situations you could possibly find yourself in. And like even the characters that aren't trans in the movie are so like emblematic. The prostitutes, the pimps in the story. I mean, that movie is lived in. It is so authentic and real. Yeah, I think feel wise, I don't think I have seen a movie like this is especially prominent for me. I thought when I made my top of the decade list, I mostly thought of like what were some of the most impactful movies, not just for me, but like culturally, I think. And I don't think Tangerine should ever be left off a list of like one of the most culturally impactful films of the last decade.
Well, now that I finally watched it, I could 100% agree with you. So I wanted to ask, what was your first experience watching Tangerine? So why'd you choose this film?
So, okay. So it's interesting. 2015 rolls around and I am kind of just starting my university career, just starting doing a lot of that stuff, just starting to get out of a really bad place in my life. It's really weird that I'm mentioning a lot of this, but it is kind of important. Yeah. I got into for a while there. I got into this. I didn't know at the time it was called DIY filmmaking, but I had found a bunch of Safdie brothers short films and movies on YouTube and stuff like that, and watched them and was really fascinated by them and fascinated by a lot of the gimmicks that they were doing. They were filming on like old Super 8.
Oh yeah.
And like they were cutting film like by themselves. The way they were writing scripts, they would improvise. Like Benny would leave parts of the script empty so he'd have his cast like improvise.
Yeah.
They would hire like their friends who were improv actors to come in. And I was so fascinated by this idea. And that was early on, like 2013. I was graduating high school and discovering a lot of this stuff. But then I heard that Steven Soderbergh, this is really funny. I heard that Steven Soderbergh had made a horror movie filmed entirely on an iPhone.
Oh yeah, Unsane.
Yes. And I was like, that's, or he was making it at the time or something. I don't think it came out the same time as Tangerine did, but that he was going to make a movie like this. And so around 2015, 2016, I got into this idea of like, why are you making a movie on an iPhone? Like, what is this? Yeah. And then I find Sean Baker. I found this movie. It was running in limited release in the theaters around my town. I had to go to to River Oaks to watch it for the first time, or it was Regal. I can't remember. But it was sitting in that theater. I mean, it was somewhat uncomfortable because of a lot of the things that happened in that movie.
Oh yeah.
But I was blown away. I thought the way you edit a movie like that, you're making Crank. Like Crank is a silly and ridiculous, like zoom in, zoom out, jump cut type of edited movie that I was like, oh, you make action movies like that to make fun of like The Bourne Identity or something like that.
Yes.
But to watch someone use that to tell like such an effective story, I did not feel the time go by. By the time you get to the donut shop, which we'll probably talk about later.
Yeah, later.
But
after the commercial break.
Yeah, but by the time you get into the donut shop, I am like, fuck, this is the final act of the movie. How did we get here so fast?
Yeah. I only checked the time twice.
Yeah.
I think it was like during like the first act because I had to go and use the restroom. I was like, okay, cool. And then towards the end, because I had to check, because I had to, record my podcast.
Yeah.
But I was like, wow, this went by like that.
Yeah.
I did not think that we'd be at the third act by now.
Yeah.
So it's incredible. So thank you for sharing that story about the first time you saw this film. This is the first time I've ever seen this movie, and I like that when the guests bring movies I've never seen. So Rachel Cho's Interview with the Vampire. We'll go ahead and talk about that off air about how I felt about that, or you can listen to the episode when it comes out. A couple past guests, Claire Rodriguez, she chose Summer Wars from Mamoru Hosoda. I really liked that film. This one was different though. This one was that stuff that inspires me.
Yeah.
This is the movie that if you would have shown Raul in 2015, in 2016 when he was thinking about buying his camera, he would have said, "Oh fuck, buy my camera."
Yeah.
I'm keeping my iPhone. I'm about to make I'm about to make my movie on my iPhone. So as somebody who was making YouTube videos on his iPhone for so long until before he got a Canon point and shoot and before he moved on to a DSLR, if you would have shown me this movie back then, I would have been like, oh fuck yeah. And I've always been the very person I was always like, gear doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't matter. Story matters. Story is king. If you have a really good story, it doesn't matter what you're fucking shooting on. So if you would have shown me this movie back then, dude, I would have been like, oh, yo, I want to make a fucking movie right now. I want to make a movie right now. I want to go out on the street. I want to take my iPhone. I want to get that fucking app that costs $8. I want to get a fucking lens adapter. I want to fucking shoot.
I know. It's insane. Like going. I think there are parts of that movie where you forget it was filmed on an iPhone. You're watching, like, there's a couple of scenes where like characters are sitting, like they're setting up mise-en-scène, and there are characters that are just, you're like, oh, that's the autofocus from the iPhone. Yeah. Like that's the manual focus.
Yeah. And I kept looking into the windows. I said, there's no way that the cameraman's not going to come out in there. Yeah. The camera op. Never it happens. Even at the moment when you think it's about to happen, they cut. Yeah. And you're like, holy shit, man. They really made precision in this film just like if they'd be shooting on a fucking red.
Yeah, there are really odd scenes in this movie where you go like, if it was shot any other way, this scene would come across like a Hallmark movie. Yeah. But they cut it in such a way. There's the scene where the two main characters are talking to the two gay men who walk up to them when she's like telling them how mad she is about discovering that her boyfriend is cheating on her. And that, like, the two gay actors that they got, which are like super on point. Yeah. But like their dialogue isn't, they're like just like having like a very, very queer conversation. Yeah. A conversation I've had 100 times, right? And so, but like those jump cuts that they do, and you're like, oh, there are like two camera operators at least that are jump cutting in between. And you're like, oh, this lady is insane. Like this like she is going like Cindy? Yeah, Cindy. Yeah, Cindy is about to go kill a motherfucker. Yeah, right now. And you're like, but like you listen to the dialogue. Like I've watched this movie like about 4 times. This time I was really paying attention to the dialogue. You listen to the dialogue and it's really innocuous. Like it's a lot of like, oh, why are you doing this? Why are you being crazy? Don't go off the handle, but go get your man. Go get your man. Yeah. Like that type of like, but the jump cuts are making you feel like she's about to blow a gasket. Yeah. And she's about to go murder somebody.
And it even gets crazier when she finally gets the chick. Yeah. And she's just dragging her ass all the way through Los Angeles.
That blew my mind.
I was just like, yo, this girl ain't fucking letting go of this chick, dude.
You have to think, did they put the iPhone on a trolley? Like, how did they get it to move so smoothly?
They had a steady cam.
That is insane.
They had a steady cam. So, and I guess we just can finally go into how it was shot. So, this film is shot on 3 iPhone 5S's, some lens adapters to what's it called, widen the lens to make it actually look like a widescreen film, with a $8 filmmaking app that allowed them to adjust aperture, shutter speed, ISO, and with a Steadicam for those shots that they're that they're walking through the streets and stuff. Yeah. Holy shit! It ended up costing at least less than $100,000 to make this film, and because of the space, the time that they saved with the camera, they were able to get locations, pay actors, get more actors, and stuff like that. So, dude, this it's that, I'm telling you, is that 100% that the whole guerrilla filmmaking, the running gun. It's like, fuck, I've got a phone next to me. Who cares if I don't have a red?
Doesn't Tangerine give you a vibe of what's the name of the Johnny Depp movie? The Las Vegas one.
No, I don't know that one.
It's about the journalist. Days something in Las Vegas. It is based on a book by this guerrilla journalist. And the entire movie is like an MDMA trip. And it's just straight up guerrilla filmmaking. There are no steady cams. There are nothing. They are just handheld cameras and they're filming. That movie reminds me of that. That's an Oliver Stone movie. Yeah. Like Natural Born Killers and stuff like that. Like it reminds me of that era of those films. But this movie isn't crazy for the sense of being crazy. Yeah. Every shot, every edit, every camera angle. Like the iPhone that they used was because they needed to film something that like that was budgetable, like that was
Yeah.
under budget. Like they weren't trying to use it wasn't Steven Soderbergh going like, I'm gonna film a horror movie in an iPhone.
Yeah.
Right? That type of artistic energy only comes out of necessity.
Oh yeah. When your backs are against the wall.
Yeah.
And you're like, all I've got is this fucking phone. I can't afford anything else. Fuck it.
Yeah.
We're going for it.
You see that every actor in that movie is trying to make a name for themselves.
Oh yeah.
Like
yeah.
every actor and actress in that film is going,
Yeah.
they're not going too ham, but they know their characters so well.
Yeah.
I mean, Alexandria is probably one of the most salient and
Yeah.
like,
Alexandra's my favorite performance in this film.
yeah.
Oh my god. Talk about heartbreak. Like it's
know.
heartbreaking seeing the stuff that she's going through.
Yeah.
And like what you're saying, it's like, because when I watch this film, I see it as like, this could either be the greatest fucking success ever, or this could be the biggest mistake of a career.
Yeah.
And all those actresses, they're doing their damn hardest job to make sure that they give the best performance they can, because they don't know if this is the last time they can act in a film.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't get that many opportunities. You don't get to have your film be run and led by two strong trans women like that.
Yeah.
Two that are very clearly about it, totally in it. And so like those opportunities don't exist that much. And they deserve so many more roles.
Oh yeah.
And they don't deserve to be typecast as like, they need to be like, when Knives Out 2 comes out, I want one of them to be in that movie. Like that's the type of stuff I want.
That'd be so fucking badass.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Because like
each of them was just like so into their characters, absolutely so just digging deep into it, and like they're never offbeat. They were never offbeat. They're just constantly on fire the whole time, and you're just waiting for like, okay, what's Cindy about to do next? What crazy shit is Cindy about to do next? Yeah. And then it's completely juxtaposed when you see Alexandra at the bar, like almost alone at the bar, and it's like you're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
There's this other part of this woman that I don't know.
I know.
There's this heartbreaking part about being a trans woman, and here's this other part that people always kind of typecast into the community itself, being the very hot-headed, very exotic-looking name and stuff, like all that. It's wild, man. It's fucking
yeah.
movies.
Actually, that's a great point you bring up. I mean, the movie is genuinely two halves, like two stories being told. Like you have all the scenes with Cindy where she is. Like there's one almost one singular the quiet moments with Cindy is when pretty much she's doing math. Yeah. Or she's on meth. That's the only quiet times we get with Cindy. But even one moment where she is not frantically, she's sitting on a bus bench and the camera cuts back and forth in front of her and behind her, in front of her and behind her. And you're going like, this must be what's inside of her head right now.
Oh, yeah.
Like when she says fuck it and the music blares.
Because remember, what did she say? I've got $2 in my bag. I got $2 left.
Yeah.
I just got out of jail, and I find out that my man was fucking cheating. Yeah. And then you're to find out that that's her fiance. Her fiance.
Yeah.
You're like, of course her head's gonna be like this.
Exactly.
Of course, she's fucking pissed.
Yeah. Exactly. And then every scene with Alexandria is Alexandria walking around town quietly. The camera is either in a medium shot or even a long shot sometime, and it just follows her while she's on the side of the screen, and you're just getting to see Los Angeles very slowly. Yeah. Like the only other third story in this is the Armenian taxi driver, right? Yeah. And his story is entirely confined in that taxi cab. Yeah. He is stuck in his little world where everything he does is just that.
Ooh, that mom was pissing me off.
I know.
Oh my God, that mom was pissing me.
But
off.
There's we should save talking about the donut shop, because the donut shop, I think, is like that movie. Yeah. Leading up into that is phenomenal. Yeah. But like you have these three triangular characters that are all dealing with exceptionally different things. Also, the fact again that the Duplass, Safdies, and Sean Baker get to capture the other minorities, basically minorities like myself, Arab, Armenian, Indian, Pakistani, those in their films is so like it's just like that Armenian dude is a Los Angeles Armenian dude, like trying to figure out his shit.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a caricature. They're not playing off of the character. He doesn't have things dangling from his window like you watch in like Independence Day or any of those big blockbuster movies where it's like he's wearing the turban or whatever. None of that stuff. None of that stuff is happening here. He has a very, very old, janky taxi. And he sometimes speaks, and you don't know he speaks Armenian until halfway through the movie.
Oh, yeah.
It's incredible how they get to capture the authenticity of the area that they come from. Like New York, everyone, even the minorities, are aggressive to each other.
Oh, yeah.
And that aggression they put through their movies is incredible. Like Sean Baker looks like a pacey, quiet white dude.
Yeah.
And then you watch this. I mean, the Florida Project is a really sweet and sincere movie. But you watch something like Tangerine and you're like, that's New York. Like, there is a spirit of New York in this.
Yeah, well, I mean, it kind of shows the intersectionality of his career. It's like you have the wild side of Baker, that very like run and gun, but then you have the very intimate and sincere part with the Florida Project. Yeah. It's wild, man. It's wild. Yeah. And I was gonna say, so what's it called? We got to take a commercial break in a bit. Because we're gonna go ahead and actually get into the more parts of the film, but we also got to have time for you all to learn about the other shows on the Nerdcore Podcast Network, so that way you guys can go listen to them. But yes, I was gonna bring up the dude. It's just it's this Alexandria. I think that when I put myself in her shoes, and I'm thinking, she lost her support system for 28 days. The one person so when you get those shots of her that are very like medium close, I think it's also asking us to kind of put ourselves in her shoes or kind of sympathize with her and realize like she was lonely for those 28 days. She had nobody else. Yeah. She had nobody else to be with. She had nobody because nobody else really sees her that way. Like everybody's kind of blowing her off about a show. Who's the only one who shows up to that show? Cindy.
Cindy. Yeah.
And she was without Cindy for 28 days. And for 28 days, who only have for people who only have a friend that is that close to them, who loves them that much, 28 days could feel like a fucking eternity.
It's true.
So it's at the same time, not only is Alexandria battling with this guilt that she has to hide from Cindy, but she's also have to fight with the idea that I lost my support system for 28 days and I had nobody else to really lean on. And here that person comes back, and I'm faced with this trouble of telling her that I just cheated on her with her fiance.
Yeah, I mean, you bring up a really good point because there's one scene that happens in the middle of the movie that is supposed to be comical. Alexandria gets in the car with this fucking dude who's asking her to jerk him off. Yeah. And she is like, no, I don't want to do it because like you're not paying me enough and all that stuff. And then he's like, it's not working. Give me my money back. And she's like, no, I'm keeping this money. And then they get into this prolonged fight where they end up in front of this cop car. And then the gist of this is like, it's a really funny bit in which she beat the living shit out of him. Like his shirt is ripped. He's screaming at her going, save me from her and whatever. And then the cop comes out and says a really simple, like it's a throwaway line for her. She doesn't even pay attention to them. She's like, do we want to go our separate ways or do we want to call our families for bail? And like Alexandria with no pause, no nothing. What family?
What family? Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. And so, you're absolutely right about that. It's like she has nobody. She has nothing, and she needs Cindy with her.
Yeah. The only family she's got is chasing a chick who just cheated on her fiance with her. For her to know that she's holding back guilt of doing the same thing to Cindy.
Yeah. It's God, that movie. That movie is so. There are so many moments in that movie where that juxtaposition comes to stark reality. I mean, you have this is the last bit, I guess, because we probably have to. But there is that scene of Alexandria singing and the purity of her voice, while literally like Cindy is like I'm going to pay attention with all my power. Yeah. Then as soon as that song is over, she's like, let's go do math. Really quick. And it doesn't mean that Cindy's a bad person. It just shows that like their relationship is so pure for each other. Yeah. but they are literally complete opposite personalities.
Yeah.
Like Alexandria is looking for love and support, and Cindy to a certain extent is looking for the same thing, but Alexandria is looking for it tenderly.
Yeah.
While Cindy is looking for passion.
Yeah.
For someone to go to bat for her.
Yeah. And it also reflects on the part where she fucks up her wig, right? And she gives her the wig, and you start seeing those shades of gray of Alexandria and Cindy, how different people they are. So we'll be continuing our conversation on Tangerine when we come back after this commercial break. So don't stay strapped, guys. Stay strapped. No, stay strapped to your seat, my friends. Yeah. But when you come back, we'll be continuing our conversation on Tangerine.
Yeah, excited to.
Hey, I'm Rolando Mendoza, and this is
Jabril Newton.
and we are the hosts of High Flyer Radio. And finally, pro wrestling has come back to the Nerdcore podcast feed in the form of a show hosted by Jabril and I. And we talk about everything and anything in the pro wrestling world on Mondays at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Nothing's off limits. Whatever you guys want to talk about, it is from AEW to SmackDown to Raw to NXT. Nothing's off the table. We can talk about it.
We're going to talk all about it. And if you can get it a day early, you should go to the www.patreon.com/thenerdcore and pledge to the tiers on there so you can get this show and a lot of shows days early before anybody else gets to hear it. But enough talking about it. We'll go ahead and see you there at the Squared Circle.
Oh, yeah.
Don't tap out. Tune in.
Tune in.
Hey guys, this is Brad, aka Young Yoda. Raul said I had to make an ad, so that's what I'm doing. It's supposed to be for Unstructured, but as you guys know, you can freaking catch me everywhere when it comes to this podcast feed. You can find me on the Nerd Cores, on Gamer Cores, on Nerdy Chicanos sometimes when I get lost. But for this particular one, I want you guys to go check out Unstructured. The Raul gave me free reign to do whatever I want to do. I don't know what he was thinking. So go hear me talk about LeBron James and Taco Tuesday, vaping, so many other freaking weird topics that chimichangas, that's a good one. Shout out to Deadpool. And yeah, I guess this is the end of the ad. So if you guys want to find me, you can find me all over the place on this podcast feed. Anyways, thank you guys for listening. I love you all. And nerd up.
Hello, guys and gals, and you're listening to The Ladies of Nerdcore. I am your host, Daniela Nunez, and along with my amazing co-host, Ashley Garcia, we discuss many things like social impact, pop culture, political realms, and any controversy surrounding the Nerdverse. Tune in and listen to us bi-weekly on the Nerdcore podcast feed, and we will love to chat and hear your thoughts on our wonderful show. And thank you again for listening to The Ladies of Nerdcore.
Hey everyone, my name is Raul, the Nerdy Chicano, and I am the host of The Impaired Files. The Impaired Files is an interview show brought to you every Thursday on the Nerdcore podcast feed. And I interview people such as filmmakers, content creators on YouTube, and podcasters like Colton Geschwander. And if you want to listen to that early, a whole week early, all you got to do is go to the Patreon and pledge to the $1 tier. And if you want to listen to it with the general public, then go to Nerdcore podcast feed on anchor.fm/the Nerdcore. And the case is closed, but it's not classified. See you guys there. All right, you're back, and I hope you enjoyed all those wonderful commercials because all those people did such a great job at making those commercials happen. So we're back, and we're talking about Tangerine from filmmaker Sean Baker. And now when we're coming back, I want to actually get into the themes of this film. And really, we start to analyze the ending of the movie.
Yeah.
And really, so let's get into this. AK, I think this movie has a lot of layers about it. Mm-hmm. I think that on one side, it's talking about friendship.
Yeah.
Love.
Yeah.
Passion. The treatment of sex workers. The treatment of trans people.
Yeah.
Especially black trans people.
Mm-hmm.
And, a little bit of the prison system as well. And there's just a lot of layers to this. But I think underneath it all, this is a picture about friendship.
Mm-hmm.
It's a picture about what happens when those lines are crossed. What happens when those friends aren't in our lives anymore for a bit. And we depend on those friends to get through the day. What do you think? What do you think are the themes of this film as well?
I agree. I agree that a lot of the themes of this movie are very emotional, right? Like a lot of the themes you look at this movie is like, how can we how can we elicit a very strong response towards something that is looked at as taboo? But I think like I think that is the underlying current of this entire movie is I'm going to tell a story about subject matters, and this is going to get a bit risque. And because that's the thing, it's like trans culture has not been accepted in the United States for a very long time, right?
Still isn't.
Still isn't, right? Like we have a party that specifically has been designed to take away the rights of trans women, and not just in the way that like, and that's not to diminish any of the other minorities that get attacked, but like I don't know how much you're okay with us talking about politics, but
if it's related to the film, it's something that we have to talk. Film is since the dawn of cinema has always been political. I mean, you look at Godard's political films at the time. Like, art has always been a mechanism to show the ugly parts of society and what parts don't work.
Yeah, exactly. And like you're looking at an administration and a party, which is the Republican Party, that is actively trying to erase trans people in this country, like erase their existence. I mean, the murder rate for trans people has gone up in the last few years, and those murders basically go unchecked, unmitigated, and uninvestigated. And so there's this very strong taboo that comes with the trans culture. There's a very strong taboo that comes with sex workers. I mean, all of our Democratic candidates right now have passed or allowed the passage of FISA SISTA, which is basically an anti-sex worker law wrapped around protecting people from sex slavery, basically, from sex trading and all that stuff, sex trafficking. But in reality, it harps down on the workers themselves. It deters people from working in that particular industry. And then you have those characters engaging in drug abuse. I mean, we are a country that has been scarred by the war on drugs, right? We have a film that deals with racial identity. I mean, you have white people in that film saying the N-word. You have
crying to the police that that they're getting beat up for something that they did to the other person.
Exactly. Right? Yeah, that absolutely. You have a film in which a lot of the characters are discussing having support systems. I mean, a lot of the neighborhoods in Los Angeles and a lot of the neighborhoods around the United States, a lot of those people don't have stable families. They don't have people that take care of them. I mean, this movie touches intersectionally on a very specific idea. And I don't want to use intersectionalism here wrong, but I do want to say that this movie is in itself an exploration of the byproduct of not the society we live in, but the systems of oppression that we have.
Yeah.
This movie doesn't criticize the systems of oppression. It just puts up the results in front of you and says, look at them. If we respect trans people more, if we respect sex workers more, if we abolish the war on drugs, if we do all of those things, we wouldn't have these people, we wouldn't have people out here, innocent people, genuinely sweethearted people who care about their friendships. They might be mean, they might be angry. I mean, there's a lot of scenes in that movie where, because when you're working class, when you're in that lower class of people, you're always on your, as GR fact checker here, which told me that the movie we were talking about is Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, by the way, the Johnny Depp movie. He articulates it always so perfectly. He talked about the idea of being on your back foot.
Yeah.
You're always on your
edge.
Yes.
You're always on edge.
Yes.
We never know when the moment comes where it just everything shifts.
Yeah.
And you're like, holy shit, I've got rent's coming up. Yeah. Where am I going to get that money from? Or just those moments when you're outside what's it called? I can't relate to this, but just probably being an unarmed black man outside in the street, walking at night, and you're constantly on edge. Like, this might be the night where I end up in a Facebook video.
Exactly. I mean, there are little things in that movie. Every whether it's as the movie describes them. I mean, this is a direct quote from the movie Fish, which is like cisgendered people, or you are trans. If you're in on the street, there are little things that they do, like put the money on the dashboard, right?
Yeah.
Like we have to have clear a clear verbal contract on what we're about to do here, right?
We also have to go to a place where I feel comfortable to perform the act. Because remember, there was like, I can't remember, Markiv, I think was his name. He's like, am I not here on the streets? Like, oh no, the streets are way too busy right now. Let's go ahead and go to like this alley. And he was okay with it. He was like, oh yeah, all right, cool. Yeah, no, I get you. And, but there was the other one, he was like, oh, I don't want to do it. I think he was telling that the white guy, what's it called? Alexander was telling the white guy, like, he goes right here out to the corner. And it's like, like, I don't want to do it here. No, fuck it. You're going to do it right here.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's a lot of like little touches of like, look how much these people have to look out for themselves, how much they have to have systems of protection with themselves, how like, I mean, well, way at the end of not the donut scene, but after the donut scene, you have that scene where like Cindy is exhausted. Everything has, all her guards are down. And she doesn't check who the car that's picking her up is. Yeah. And then she immediately gets attacked, right? She gets thrown at her a cup full of piss. And so,
also, that's who the fuck keeps a cup full of piss on
I know.
That's fucking disgusting.
Dude, getting into what frat boys do and like a lot of those a lot of what bigots get into is like a lot grosser than what they consider gross to be.
Yeah, like you really think like who sits on their ass and says, you know what I want to do today? I want to fucking piss in a big cup that I got from McDonald's. I'm going to put a lot of piss in there. I'm going to go ahead and throw it to this motherfucker out here in the street.
Yeah.
Who the fuck has that time to just piss into that big ass cup? Come on, man.
They're insane.
Yeah.
They've lost their goddamn minds out here, and they're accusing human. And so like that moment is like could happen at any time.
Oh yeah.
And they're ready for it. Like she's like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what's happening. Her guard is all down. Alexandria immediately grabs her, takes her to the laundromat.
Yeah.
You have to always be on guard about what's about to happen to you. Yeah. What's going to do. The way she was talking to the police officer, she's like stepped back. She's like calm. She's like, I don't do this shit. I don't do that. He stole my money. Like just always having to maintain that guard all the time is like an exceptionally powerful theme in this movie. Yeah. And I think that's to me the underlying message of this movie is like, look at the byproducts of the things that we have unjustifiably condemned as like heinous. Exactly. And so like you are watching people who are trying to live their lives in the system that they were constructed in. And the beauty of Sean Baker, and I don't actually know what Sean Baker's political leanings are.
You would think that it'd be accurate to what the film is projecting about how he feels. Yeah. But you never know with people these days, you know.
Yeah, that's true.
They could just be exploiting to make a quick buck. But for when I'm watching this film, I feel like this is how he thinks.
Exactly. Because like he didn't only show black trans women. He showed white trans women. He showed
Latinas too. There was a Latina in there.
Yeah. He showed one of the characters that you're established at the beginning to be a bad person. Like she's the villainess of the movie. You get to know her throughout the movie and her connection. And their connection, like in any other movie, the connection they had over that meth pipe would be an awe moment because the meth pipe wouldn't be involved. And so to like subvert the expectations of the audience to be like these two women, and they are both women who have been like, she dragged her across the street, have this moment of solidarity on what amounts to basically either a crack pipe or a meth pipe. They never actually tell us what's in there.
I think it was crack, man, because that looked like it was crack. Yeah. But I mean, then again, the
you're
film.
Right. She pulled the white bag. You're right.
Yeah. I think it was crack.
I think you're right. I think it was crack. And so those subversions. The other prostitute is white. She's a white lower class person who, by the end of the movie, gets kicked out of the only home she has because they just replaced her. Yeah. And it discusses like some of the systems we exist in, even of the lowest rung, where like it's supposed to be this community of dejected people. Yeah. We still at that level like not only treat each other badly, but like think of like,
because we're ingrained with this internalized idea that we need to see other people as lesser when we're already in a community full of people who are viewed as less.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And it's really interesting you bring that up, and you also, because even though this girl has done one of the worst acts that she can believe, right?
Yeah.
Cindy still takes her to the restroom, fixes her makeup for her.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know what? Am I really mad at you? Or am I mad at the motherfucker who fucked you 10 fucking times?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, so when he goes to the donut shop, he's like, I think like 10 times, like, you know, I gotta try out my merchandise. You gotta try it out 10 fucking times?
Yeah,
10
exactly.
fucking times? What, did it fail the first 5 and you said, oh, you know what? I gotta try it out the other 5.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Testing your product.
Testing your product fucking
it's
10
weird.
times?
Yeah, and it's like you meet Chester and you're like, you've been presented with this idea of
we've
you're
all-
imagining throughout the movie who the fuck Chester is.
Yeah.
What does Chester look like?
And we've all seen a Chester before.
Oh my God.
Especially
if
in
Chester
Florida.
is not the realest fucking human I've ever, like I had people who called me their friend that were Chesters.
Yep.
Right? Like meaningless tattoos on their bodies, bandanas that they don't understand where they
Yeah.
got from, like just
Spitting out the N-word. even though
exactly when
not
they're a
supposed-
white person.
Yeah.
Right?
Adopting the black accent.
Exactly.
You know? Yeah. And also, like, what's it called? What's the one that he goes? There is one line that does make me laugh when he says, when what's it called? When the mom is leaving and
Yeah.
he's like, hey, yo, call me though, cause your bitch is fine. I'm like, I'm fucking laughing because I'm like, I know a lot of dudes who would probably say this shit, dude.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
Chester is one of the realest like depictions of dudes I've probably seen. And a lot of people will probably think it's a joke, but like, dude, riffraff
No.
exists. Like
Riff
stuff like
yes, Riff Raff is this. Fuck, Miley Cyrus for a bit was that. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's not a bit for a lot of these people, right? And so like, and you're like, of course, this derpy fucking idiot motherfucker runs a successful racketeering or prostitution business in the city of Los Angeles.
Of course he would.
Yeah.
Of course.
Because he's a piece of shit, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's incredible. The little things that this movie does. For Baker to abandon a lot of his pride and a lot of the things that he probably grew up with, a lot of the indoctrination he grew up with, and I mean indoctrination as in like, hey, there's a blue island, a pink eye, like the stuff we've now grown up to learn about what it means to be male versus what it means to be a female, right? And so like. And for him to break away from all those prejudices and allow his characters to speak for themselves is I wouldn't be surprised if we looked at that script, which goddamn it deserved a Best Original Script nomination. But like, if we look at that script, I think a lot of it would be like improvised.
Oh yeah.
And I think if we looked at a majority of that cast, because I've not looked at that cast in a long time, I think you would find a lot of them do trans and drag shows to a certain extent, right?
I believe he did cast from a drag. If I was reading correctly, and I can go ahead and look right now, but I'm pretty sure he did cast what's it called? People from shows.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised because those they know how to perform and they know how to improv really well and like create like scenes that are so fucking just out of this world absurd. And so I genuinely think that like if we looked at that script, we would find a lot of improvisation and a lot of parts where he's allowed his characters to speak for themselves and like have very real conversations with themselves.
Yeah, so it says here, Baker and Burgach met transgender actresses Maya Taylor and Kitana Kiki Rodriguez, who had no major acting experience at a Los Angeles LGBT center in 2013.
Yeah.
So he really did go the most authentic route and goes like, I'm not about to get fucking Scarlett Johansson to fucking play a fucking trans woman. I'm gonna go straight
you don't know.
into the fucking belly of
Raul.
the beast.
You don't know. Scarlett might have been one of the trees, the palm trees in Los Angeles. You really don't know.
You never know.
Yeah.
You never know. She's a really good. She really blends into everything.
Yeah,
of course.
She's a method actress.
But yeah, he went straight into the belly of the beast.
Yeah.
And cast it within the community.
Yeah.
And to me, it reflects it, and I think that's why I say that this film is as authentic as it can get, especially for somebody who doesn't know the community all that well. Even though I have trans friends, haven't caught haven't caught up with a lot of them in a long time, but I'm telling you, this feels really, really authentic. And for some reason, I feel like this movie could have been set in Florida as well.
Yeah.
Could have been set in New York, and you still have kind of the
It could have been set in Dallas.
Dallas, yeah. For some reason, when I saw Chester, I was like, why does this guy look like he's from fucking Florida?
Yeah, facts. He looks like he's from Jacksonville.
Jacksonville or Tallahassee. I was like, what the fuck, man? This guy looks like he's from So it's incredible how Baker approaches this, and really those little subtle things that he's really putting in there. They don't feel so subtle.
I know you didn't like the mother-in-law, but did you like the line she said in the taxi where she was like, "Los Angeles is a city wrapped in lies"?
Yeah,
I think she delivered it really well.
She pissing me off, because she's like the basic film mother-in-law, nosy, getting into everybody's business. But there's an aspect of this movie that I wanted to bring up that I think that you haven't brought up.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's also this theme about us having to lie about our identity.
Yes.
That taxi cab driver, he's gay.
Yeah.
He's gay, but he has to hide it. From his family.
And his wife knows.
Even though his wife knows, and she's okay with it. He's like, you bring the money, you're taking care of us. Who the fuck cares? Like, I rather stay alive. And I think that also kind of shows a little bit about how social classes work. And you're like, for a woman to be like, yeah, it's fine, go out there and cheat on me every day, but if you bring food to the table and I'm able to stay alive, that's fine.
That's the state we live in. And also, you bring up such a great point. Like, when you draw the blueprint of what that family is, that Armenian family, like close-knit, like that dinner scene, everyone sitting together, he's hugging his baby. Of course, like, there's really weird parts where you're like, is the child actor they cast, like, not know to pretend that this guy is his dad? Mm-hmm. Or is he realizing that, like, there are tensions in the family? So he's like not really cool with his dad. But then like one of my favorite parts is they cast an Armenian woman who was traditionally attractive.
Oh yeah.
So it's like to just hammer in the point that no matter who the hell you marry, if you are who you are, you're going to seek it out.
Yeah.
And so why force someone to go that far? And have to go that expediently. I mean, this is a guy who literally kicked out a cis prostitute out of his car. To just find a trans one. Right?
And reiterated like that corner
is not for you.
That's not for you.
Yeah.
That's not for you. That's not what I'm not here to look for like you. Yeah. And also gotta say, I can't believe that fucker threw up in the fucking taxi. Bro.
I know.
I was like, that's so disgusting, man.
Know,
and then the girl after is like, yo, your taxi rig is like, yeah, kind of not my problem, man. I'm sorry. That's just like,
No, but it also sets up a lot of those things. Like that taxi was designed in such a way that I remember taxis I've been in where in my head I've been like, why does it look like that? Like, why is it busted? Why is it whatever?
Yeah.
And you're like, and I was like, are the characters in, like, the first time I ever watched this movie, I was like, are the characters in the taxi cab going to come back? Is there, like, this interwoven story? And it's like, no, it just wants you to show you how hellish being a taxi driver is. Like, how working class that job really is. Where, like, at one point, you're getting someone who's, like, mourning their dog and you don't know, so you're being accidentally insensitive to them. At one point, you're getting, like, an influencer who's like getting depressed in the car and like almost starts crying. And then you get two drunk idiots, like not even 7 o'clock at night. They're already smashed. They're already gone.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere, but
exactly. And so, and they throw up in your car and the next person right after that blames you for it instead of the possibly, like, what, did he go back in the backseat and throw up? And you never think of those until like literally, it's like a lot of this stuff is like you don't believe it until you see it.
Yeah, and then who's the one who has to deal with it all the time?
It's the cab driver.
It's the cab driver. The cab driver. Your ride could be 5 minutes, and you have to deal with that smell. But he's gonna have to wait until fucking 7 o'clock at night when he finally gets off, and he can finally go and clean that car. And it's crazy, man. It's crazy. And also, I was gonna say, there's also another part where he's masking his identity. He's like, he has to adopt the Christmas. Sorry about that.
Yeah,
Christmas
you're fine.
holiday. He's like, we're not even American.
Yeah.
He goes, Christmas. He goes, we're Armenian. We don't celebrate Christmas.
Yeah.
And he's like, why do we have to act like we have to adopt these things? And that was one of the things that's a lot of this film can't speak to me. There's instances where it kind of does speak to me. That's where I was like, I'm like, that's speaking to me.
Yeah.
As a Latino in this country, I've been forced to adopt a culture I didn't want to adopt.
Yeah.
And that's why I refuse to call myself Mexican American. I'm not American.
Yeah.
I was just born here.
Yeah.
I'm not going to adopt something that I don't want to adopt.
Yeah.
So it's so I feel so connected to him when he's in that moment. He's just like, let me go fucking work. Who cares if I'm missing out Christmas? It's not my fucking holiday.
Yeah. And I do think
Yeah.
I do
Christmas
think
not even on the 21st, it's on the 6th.
and I do think that like he is a three-dimensional character in that, like, I guess should we get into it now?
About what?
The donut.
Yeah,
the
the
donut scene.
donut, yeah.
So,
we're at
like,
the end, yeah.
So like the donut scene, I just want to say that it's like you're presented with this character that to a certain extent has to deal with his identity, has to like adopt a lot of these things to mask his identity, but also has tendencies towards being a bit pathetic, right? Like and that donut scene conceptualizes the idea that like, hey, you're not like special. Like you've been looking for Cindy this entire time, and like what you're going through is like what pretty much everyone in that Chester is gay. Like Chester is also gay, right? Like Cindy and Alexandria are trans. Like everyone in this room has had to deal with a particular thing in their life, right?
Yeah.
Like your wife have had to deal with you, like knowingly going out and cheating on her. Everyone in that room had to deal with something specific. And then I love how the movie waited until the end to show me that like even the white girl that was sitting in the room was dealing with some shit.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That scene, the way they built up to everything. I mean, the mystery of who Chester is. We've spent about 40 minutes of the movie with Cindy and the white girl. Alexandria has been roaming aimlessly, trying to bring people to her show. No one shows up. She's depressed about it. She's always in the background, kind of like not in the mood for any of this.
Yeah.
And kind of, once you realize the twists at the end, you're like, oh shit, that's why she's been quiet and trying to kind of run
she's been
away.
hiding something.
She's been trying to hide. She physically has been trying to hide.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so then you get, I mean, everything about the possibility of the police showing up, like Los Angeles as it is. Like they picked a great donut shop because of the windows. So you got to see like cop cars driving.
Yeah.
And you're like just mentally associating them with the film.
Yeah.
When they're just shit that's happening in LA.
Yeah.
And like there are so many things like the donut shop lady.
I was also gonna bring up the fact that once the mother-in-law starts calling, Cindy automatically thinks, oh, she's calling the cops.
Yeah, exactly.
And you find out like, no, she's not calling the cops. She's calling the wife.
The wife.
Yeah. And everybody else, like once again, we reiterate, we're constantly on edge.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I can't go back to jail. You know, I just got out.
Yeah.
What the fuck? You about to send me back?
Everyone in that car is like just no police.
No.
We will deal with this as internally as possible. And like that, not the fact that you're not calling the police. I mean, there's another conversation we could get into about police behavior in the United States in general, just outside of whether you're committing a legal or an illegal act.
I think that's safe for another film because I think this one doesn't really deal with that.
No, not at all. But it deals with the fear of that existing. Like,
of course,
if the police show up, not only are we all minorities, disenfranchised minorities, not only are we all of identities that are unacceptable, we are, and also participate in criminal activity to a certain extent, or things that are quote unquote considered criminal activity, but also we're being loud in a public place. Like we are in disobedience of like simple shit that happens everywhere. Like in Sugarland, they still round up a bunch of homeless people for loitering laws, right? So like the simplest thing as a minority gets you hammered down much more.
Yeah,
That
of course,
fear of ever finding the police. And that movie, the one interaction with the police that happens is like two police officers who are very familiar with the neighborhood and everything, but they are they're inaffectionate. They do not give a fuck about who started the fight, who is asking who
They're
for
like,
who.
it's Christmas. I don't give a shit about
I'll
what's going
arrest
on.
both of you. I
I'll
don't
arrest both of
care.
you. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
So let's just go on with our day and just not have to basically save me the paperwork.
Yeah, you either go to jail or I don't care what your problem is. Those are the only two options for you in that movie. And it's such little simple scenes and it all coalesces in the donut shop.
Yeah.
Also, what a great setup. I mean, you go through this African American gentleman who is a part of this community, has helped with this community, but is like, I don't want anything to do with it.
Yeah, don't tell
do
him I was-
prostitution. I don't do I don't sell drugs. I don't do that. I run a legitimate business that's failing. There's a lot of implication in a lot of those scenes that dude's business is failing. The kitchen line, the food line we see, like a lot of the locations that Cindy goes to are like, that's Los Angeles.
Yeah,
Like, that's
the girl
California.
who's clean doesn't do that shit. It's like, I'm clean. She's like, I don't give a fuck if you're clean. I'm just trying to find this girl. Nah.
No one cares. Like,
Yeah.
It's not that no one cares. It's like that. Like,
No, it's
we
that-
all have problems.
We all have problems, or we've been programmed to not give a shit about each other, even though we should be the ones keeping track of each other and uplifting each other. Because if it isn't our own community, the ones outside of it sure as hell ain't gonna give a shit.
And
you know, the oppressors don't give a shit.
Exactly.
But those within our community, we gotta stand up for each other. We gotta help each other. We gotta make sure that we support each other's business. What's it called? Adventures. We gotta make sure that we take care of each other. We gotta make sure that we get the proper fucking care, man. It's like, who else is gonna take care of us when the oppressors sure as hell don't give a shit about us?
Yeah, I mean, and that's the beauty of the two leading actresses' performances, and I guess I'll get to the finale of it here. That moment we've been talking about throughout this whole show is that moment at the end where like Cindy shows up for Alexandria earlier in the movie. Cindy becomes this innocent character that is just like, oh, I will murder a motherfucker, but I will show out for my friend.
Yeah.
Like she tells Chester, like as much as Cindy's terrifying to a bunch of people in that movie, Cindy has like, he asks her, like, and in jail you didn't do anything? And she's like, nope. nothing. Like that bitch is loyal.
Yeah.
Like loyal to the fucking bone. And so like, and then she realizes her friend betrays her and Alexandria chases her throughout town. Like that sequence lasts for a minute. Like it's not easy. It's not like, it goes on. And at that moment, you get the merging of their two worlds.
Yeah.
Like you're getting the cuts to the white girl, but like really it's like an Alexandria type scene. It's really slow. It's in a medium or wide shot and it's just following them throughout the streets. And then you get the piss moment and then the laundromat, right?
Yeah.
And the laundromat is the confluence of like, when they attack us, when they come into our community, into our neighborhood, we'll stand with each other no matter what our grievances are.
Exactly.
And especially us two.
Yeah.
When you find real friendship in that type of situation, when you find real compassion, real passion, like the world wants to fucking kill us.
Yeah.
It wants to tear us apart, especially when we're that place. And having each other is like, and it's all silent. They don't speak. She compliments her about her wig, which is like a really like big deal in the queer community, right? And so like, and for Sean to realize that that's all he needed to do. I just need her to hand her wig to her. And that is the moment that like every audience member that is aware will realize that they forgive each other, that there is no blood lost here. Yeah. That ending scene, that literally last shot where she holds her hand while she's wearing the wig is like, I mean, Gio wasn't paying attention, but like I literally almost teared up in the library while I was watching that scene.
Oh, my heart was so warm doing that. I was like,
Yeah.
like you said, no matter how much they want us dead, no matter how many job opportunities they take away from us, no matter how many single times the world has been against us, we've got our backs.
I mean, yeah.
And that's what we need to do. We need to have each other's backs. We have to have each other's, just in general, people from disenfranchised, marginalized communities just got to have each other's backs.
Yep.
Because they're not gonna have it for us.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's a great last shot, and it's beautiful.
And I think it's a credit to Sean Baker for making actually a happy ending.
Yeah.
Making that movie is not about normalizing bad behavior or about like, oh, look how like edgy all of this is.
Yep.
It is about a very, very true reality, a very stark reality that we have, and that like it doesn't have to have a hokey good ending. They don't get rich at the end. They don't do any of that stuff. Not everyone gets forgiven.
Yeah.
And it's not even a sad, like, Alfred Hitchcock moment where,
No.
like, everyone dies in the end.
Yeah.
No. It's just this quiet moment. Tomorrow we'll wake up and we'll have another day. I mean, a lot, like, watching Tangerine, I think I forget sometimes, at least. It's all set in one fucking day.
Yeah.
That whole movie's set in one day. And it's incredible that, like, that's a day in our life.
Yeah.
Like that is, I just came out of jail. I'm just dealing with this. I have a performance here. I'm trying to bring people here. I'm trying to find my boyfriend. This bitch is cheating on me. Like all of this shit is happening. And also like all of the other stuff that I need to do around it, right?
Yep.
Make money, do whatever, take care of my family, all that stuff. So like that movie for an hour and 27 minutes, for an hour and 25 if you don't include the credits.
Yeah.
Fucking made me fall in love with the idea of a 90-minute film.
Yeah.
Lean, direct, to the point. You get to watch it. You get to sit down with it. You get to absorb it all. That film is the reason I love movies.
Yep.
Television, you have to sit around and like watch every cliffhanger and get it. And then they might end it with a cliffhanger again because they want a second season. Like books last forever. A movie is a movie. It's a one sitting experience. You get it in one chunk, you absorb it, and the best filmmakers are the ones that get to like distill large universal ideas, large like theories into very, very human stories, into very emotional stories, and present them to you really fucking well.
Yeah. Yep. So we've reached the end, guys. Merry Christmas Eve, bitch.
Yeah, facts.
Yeah.
Facts.
So
On the 6th.
AK, we're here at the end. That was a great one to end on, but we've got to get you in the hot seat back because we got to get you to give us your recommendation, and you also have to claim a film for season 2. Call dibs.
We've actually been talking about Sean Baker a lot, so my recommendation will be to try to go back to some old Sean Baker stuff, but if like you're looking at what he can do as a full-fledged director with funding behind him, please watch The Florida Project. It's such a sweet story. And probably up until The Lighthouse this past year, The Florida Project was my favorite all-time Willem Dafoe performance.
Yep.
And he doesn't have that big of a role in it.
Yeah.
But he is incredible and such a surprising addition to that movie. I love everything about that movie.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
For me, I put Last Temptation of Christ. That's my favorite Dafoe performance.
I love his,
Just that last moment.
You're
where
making a
he's-
very good argument.
Where he's pleading, like,
Yes.
I want to be the Messiah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or that moment in the gardens where he's crying. He's like, I don't want to do this. Like, why do I have to be the...
Yeah.
Part of me wishes that you would claim, what's it called?
Temptation of
Christ. Because
I'm thinking of it.
there's movies on, and you can, this is the movie that you call dibs on. But if you're like, hey, bro, I still want to do one more movie before the season ends.
Yeah.
Can we go? What am I gonna do? Like Drizzy Drake treated.
Yeah.
What am I gonna do?
I mean,
say
if
no?
you want us to come back here and talk about The Last Temptation of Christ, I'll come back here and talk about The Last Temptation of Christ.
Temptation of Christ, my friend, as I like was also me being Latino, I've also had my trouble, and I've been like, do I adopt the colonizer's religion or not?
Yeah.
Last Temptation of Christ was the first time I've ever felt connected to Jesus.
That's amazing.
And I got to tell you, that's a hell of a movie. And at that moment in the garden where he's just crying and he's like, I don't want to do this. That was like,
We could do it. If you want,
Yeah.
we could do it. Let's do it.
There's specific movies on my head where it's like, I got to find the right people to do this. But if you want to do Last Temptation of Christ,
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. What is your movie that you're calling dibs on for season 2?
I would like to do, I will mess up his last name as I always do, but Abbas Kiarostoumi's, I forget what year it came out. I think it's 1991, 1992. Yeah. It is called The Wind Will Carry Us. It is based on a poem written by an Iranian dissident like poet. And Abbas Kartasumi made sure to create that entire film in the form of like poetry.
Yeah.
It is one of the very few movies that I can give the literal distinction to as poetry in motion.
Yeah.
And like there's a lot of dialogue in that movie that are straight lines from that poem and are recited as if they are poems. It is it's genuinely a poetic film, and I think it would be an incredible thing. I think I showed most of the club Close Up. Close Up is a fantastic film, but I think The Wind Will Carry Us is just, it has such a breadth to it. That movie doesn't pressure you. It doesn't hold you by your collar. It's literally kind of the opposite of Uncut Gems or Tangerine. It's very, very malaise. It takes its time. It's very slow. There's a lot of silence in that movie. There's a lot of just looking at nature because it's in a Kurdish village. And it discusses a lot of political issues between Iran and Kurdistan and the Kurdish people. Yeah. It's incredible. It's fantastic. The poet who's her poem is based on this. It's actually called The Wind Will Carry. It's the original poem. She also made a short film about another disenfranchised group in the Middle East, which is people who are afflicted with leprosy. Yeah. Those people are put into enclaves and separate ghettos and places and just basically locked and forgotten.
Yeah. Well, I don't want you to go too deep into
Sorry,
it because we got to get into it when we come back for season 2. But AK, it's been awesome, man. I really, really enjoy. Before we go ahead and get out of here, you are a podcaster. I want you to fucking plug that podcast in here. Tell us where they can find you on the internet.
So I used to make a collection of podcasts, but I've decided that was too much. So I wanted to condense them all into a revamp of my political podcast called The Never Good Enough Podcast, a leftist podcast. But over the years, I've been making that podcast for 3 years. It's been revamped a couple of times. Now I'm going to do a new revamp. But this time I want to bring on people as interesting as Raul, as interesting as some of the people that I've met at the university and stuff like that, to just sit down with me and talk about things that they are interested in, about stories, about stuff that they've encountered in their life. I want to hear what people genuinely care about. It will still have politics. It will still talk about film. It will still talk about video games and stuff like that. I mean, we have a set of episodes set for talking just about Smash Bros. So I want it to be a podcast about people coming in and having conversations with each other and telling stories, because I find that to be extremely impactful. And so it's called The Never Good Enough Podcast. I think the next episode we're going to put up, which is going to be sometime this week, it'll be the first episode of the revamp. It will still be a political episode. It would just have a very rotating set of guests and stuff like that come on it. I do have cast members. You'll get introduced to them if you listen to the podcast, but we will have new people coming on very shortly. So look for it. Go online. Look for it. Follow us. There'll be a Twitter page and an Instagram page and a Facebook page going up soon. I will post about it. Follow me on all socials at AL-Moumen, AKALMOUMEN. So you could find any new updates that I have. Appreciate you, Raul. Thank you so much for having me. This was fucking fun as shit.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah, thanks, bro. Hey, and for those of you who are listening to this, make sure that you guys also check out the other shows on the Nerdcore Podcast Network. This is his own feed, but we have another feed full of like 6 shows. You know, if you're a fan of a bunch of friends just sitting back, shooting the shit and just talking shit the whole time, the Nerdcore Live Show is your show for you, guys. An hour and a half show where literally 30 minutes is only devoted to the actual topic and the rest is just movie commentary and fart jokes. So that's how it works here, guys. But there's other shows on the feed, but go and check it out. One of my favorites is the Ladies of Nerdcore. You know, a lot of the world through the woman's eyes, but especially 2 Latinas. Yeah. And I love that show, and I can't wait for you guys to go and check it out. So go check it out. Anchor.fm/thenerdcore.
I also want to add that me and another film club member on campus, Charlie, we started a radio show that goes live every Tuesday from 12 to 1. It is called In the Cut, where we discuss the Houston film and art scene. And we kind of discuss any art stories that we find that are interesting, and also share places in the city of Houston where people can interact with film the arts, music, a lot of that stuff. So
CougRadio.com/live, right?
Yes.
Yep,
thank you.
CougRadio.com/live or on the TuneIn app again on Coug Radio. So just go ahead and guys going to do that and just go and help out AK over here. He's a great guy and I want him back. Oh, I'm gonna get him back.
Yeah, of
and I'm
course.
looking at you, Gio. You're coming on too. Yeah. So with that being said, guys, also check out thenerdcore.com for all my written reviews. I've got 3 reviews being written at the moment. I got my Portrait of a Lady on Fire review, my Uncut Gems review, and my beautiful piece about why I love Cinema Paradiso. That movie is amazing. I love that film, and I'm writing a piece about why I think it's the most timeless film ever.
That's
a movie that should never be remade, ever, ever.
True.
And there's not much ramblings going on about that movie being remade, but I just want to reiterate with that piece. So with that being said, guys, it's been a really fun time here at the Cinema Condition. I don't know. Oh, next episode will be Akira Kurosawa's Ikiru, and I will be inviting my wonderful co-host, the young Yoda, the bearded old fuck, Bradley Simmons. He's coming on, and we're going to talk about Ikiru.
Amazing.
I fucking love that movie.
It's so good.
Talk about a movie that makes me fucking cry like a bitch, man. Bad. So with that being said, guys, hope you guys have a wonderful day. You guys come back, watch a movie, do whatever you want. I still don't have an outro for this, but
watch Florida Project and watch Ikaru. Watch Ikaru.
Yes, please.
Watch all Akira Kurosawa movies.
Yeah, I need to get a part on the site where it actually has a link to where you can purchase a lot of these movies, and also,
you can find Florida. I don't know about Florida Project, but you can definitely find Tangerine on Hulu.
Yeah, that's where I watched it. So see you guys later, and Merry Christmas Eve, bitch.
Bye.
All right, man.